transfer in the history of our country is horrible, and nobody should have voted for it. And I know what you're saying, but Jimmy, people are hurting right now. I know.
Jimmy.
And that's why the government should do something for them, not screw them.
People are corporations.
What this bill does.
Humans are companies.
Up against it, and
period.
In the
Physically
Senate
speaking.
put
literally, definitionally speaking, humans are companies. People are corporations.
But need to first vote on the
corporations aren't people. So people are corporations.
And then we'll do that. And I'm putting a hold on this until we do this. And because the reason why they put those two together is so they can screw the country by giving $4.2 trillion to the richest 1,000 people in the country at a time when nobody else has money.
Whine,
so now they can
complain.
buy the rest of the country with the $4.2 trillion the government just gave
them. You guys'
so
specialty on the left,
stopped.
right?
It wasn't. It passed 96-0. And anybody saying, yeah, but they had to vote for this because people needed money right now.
Yeah.
The government can do anything it wants. It can tell the banks that you can't. There's a freeze on.
Can't tell me I don't have no more Second Amendment. That's what it can't do.
The government can do whatever they want.
No, it can't.
And so by them putting those
good
two
luck
things
telling
together,
me I don't have free speech anymore.
Exactly. So they could get
good
progressives
luck.
like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders to vote for it, and they would go, our hands are tied.
Fucking country was founded on the fucking principle of people not taking no for an answer.
Say, untie my hands. Untie my fucking hands.
Literally over my dead body.
This is sinister. But instead of doing that, they fucking went along with it. And now they're all touting how good the bill is. You think I'm kidding? Here's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer says the House just passed the bill. Democrats fought to put public health and people and workers first. That is the biggest fucking lie you're ever going to hear in your life. There are lies as big, none bigger. Help for our health systems, unemployment insurance on steroids, strict oversight, and more. That's all garbage.
Probably not garbage, actually.
It's almost like a tell that
it's obviously partially garbage, but
right. There's no strict oversight. There's only oversight after the fact. After they already spend the money, you have 5 people looking through $4.2 trillion. It's like a needle in the haystack. They're trying to. That's again a lie, and they're allowed to say this. Why? Because Bernie went on the floor and made you think he got you something. He made you look like they are fighting for this. While not a panacea, it will address many of our vital immediate health and economic needs. So I just retweeted that and I said the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the world to the 1%. The Democratic Party is no better than Donald Trump. They are using your own money to steal from you, and they're calling it a bailout. It's a colossal, unconscionable screwing of America, and it passed 96-0. And why did it pass 96-0? The biggest screwing of America? Because nobody has courage in the Senate to stand up and say what this is.
Oh, we gave ourselves money.
It.
Boo
because
fucking who.
They're afraid of the optics. So instead of doing the right thing, they went along with it because they were afraid of the optics. They can't be seen standing in the way of people getting direct cash payments. And that's exactly how the devil constructed this deal, so that would be the result. You have to vote for it or they're going to starve. It's like, hey, I'm starving. I need a sandwich. Here's a sandwich. Now you have to sign over everything you'll ever own. And then there's the Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren going, well, we have to get that sandwich. But you're signing over everything you own. This is a horrible deal, but we have to get that sandwich. This is the perfect example of what's happening. This is a great, maybe I should move that over to the right. We all have a rod each. Unfortunately, that's where equality ends. You're actually fishing, you put your fish in the basket, the rich guy just picks your basket up. That's what this bill is. And I just got this email from the Sanders campaign. And I know this is tough for people to take. I know this is tough for people to take right now because people still think Bernie has a chance to win this presidency. So he has to win, they say it's like 65% of the remaining vote. Now, people are also saying, well, what if Joe Biden melts down and he can't even complete a sentence, which is what I think might happen. I think that might happen because he can't. I don't know if he even has coronavirus. What if one of these guys gets the coronavirus? What if all of them do? Then what? So people are thinking, well, Joe might have a physical breakdown, a mental decline so steep that they can't hide it, and then they'll go to Bernie. Now who's being naive, Kay? Now who's being naive? So what they will do is say, well, we can't give it to the guy who didn't get the majority of the votes. Why, that wouldn't be right. We have to get a candidate that appeals to the majority of the Democratic voters. And that will be Andrew Cuomo. I mean, that's what it looks like they're trying to do. They're going to try and do. So I don't know. I'm just saying anything is possible right now. That's why anything could happen. Nobody knows what could happen, but anything could happen. So I think that's our best, the best pipe dream hope is that Biden drops out because of his mental decline, and Bernie somehow wrestles the nomination. That's their best case scenario. And then Bernie will have a chance. I mean, could you imagine if Bernie actually became president?
And picked Nina Turner as his vice president.
So do you think, what kind of a president do you think he would be? Do you think he would be a Teddy Roosevelt and an FDR? Do you think that? Or do you think he would be more of a Barack Obama, more of an appeaser like he's, what do you think? I hope he would become a Teddy Roosevelt and an FDR. But again, these are all, yes, I get the Democratic Party right now is held together with duct tape and bubble gum and dentures. I mean, look what their nominee is. Is that the sign of a strong party? That's the sign of a corrupt party. That's the sign of a party that's so corrupt they can't even move left of Trump during a pandemic. I understand the Democratic Party looks like they're about to crumble, but they have all the money in the world behind them. So here's something. I just got this. I donated, right, and so now I get emails from Bernie Sanders' campaign, and he says this is what they're saying about the bill, and I'll read it to you because I didn't have time to make it into the right kind of graphics. So I'll read it to you. He says, let me begin by stating that this bill is obviously not the bill that I or the progressive community would have written. So this is exactly Chuck Schumer. I mean, Mitch McConnell could have written this letter. This is like a script that Mitch McConnell could have written. And here it is. It's obviously not the bill that we or the progressive community would have written. There is much in it that I dislike very much, and equally important, there is much that is not in it that should be. Now is the time to think big and prioritize working families, not corporations. Exclude that, but you didn't. Thinking big would be holding out for Medicare for all, or a permanent UBI, or to get rid of this corporate fucking. Instead of $4.2 trillion going to the richest 1,000 people, how about $4.2 trillion going to regular people? Again, this isn't, you can't say these things to be intellectually honest. Now is the time to think big and prioritize working families, not corporations. But the exact opposite is what happened. Thinking big would be holding out for Medicare for all. Excluding low-income families from the bailout isn't going to cut it. We must make working people whole. Below are a few of the positive provisions included in the bill. And so then he goes on to make people feel better about the bill. This is what they're saying. Below are a few of the positive provisions included in the bill. $2 trillion in emergency funding. I was the first person to call for at least $2 trillion in spending. Recognizing the crisis we face is on a scale of major war, and we must act accordingly. Boost unemployment benefits. This moment requires a massive investment in unemployment insurance that includes all workers. The bill provides the largest expansion of unemployment benefits in U.S. history, an increase of over $250 billion, and provides benefits to gig workers and independent contractors historically excluded from unemployment insurance. Direct support to working families. Republicans did not want to provide direct payments to low-income workers. I pushed back, and now $250 billion will go into a one-time checks of $1,200. It's a joke. $1,200, a one-time payment. It's a joke. Of $1,200 for adults and $500 per child for low-income and middle-income families. Let me be very honest. I wanted much more and was fighting for every American to receive $2,000 per month for the duration of this crisis. Well, then why didn't you start last Thursday organizing other senators and other people against this bill? That's a legit question. That's the question. That's a legit question. This bill does not go far enough, but it was the agreement we were able to reach with Republicans. Isn't it amazing? Whenever we get a bad deal, it always favors the Republicans and the corporations, like unbelievably. We have the House. What's the point of taking over the House if we still have to give everything to the Republicans that they want? That's just bullshit. This is bullshit. Invest in community health centers. As part of this bill, Congress will invest $1.3 billion for health centers. $4.25 trillion is going to the richest people in the country. Trillion. And $1 billion for fucking health centers in the middle of a pandemic. And you're bragging about it. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's not an unbelievable defeat. They're putting this in like these are victories. That unemployment insurance is a fucking pittance. Those are crumbs inside this bill, as is $1 billion. I fought to make community healthcare centers a key part of the Affordable Care Act, and I'm glad that more funding will be included. Supporting cities on the front lines. $150 billion will be provided to states and cities that are in desperate need of cash infusion to respond to this crisis. I've spent many hours consulting with local doctors and elected officials and made clear to Congress that local governments across the country have been spending down their savings to meet their crisis head on and must be supported by Washington before they get underwater. Okay. Protecting the jobs and wages of airline workers. After working alongside leaders like Sarah Nelson, the president of the Association for Flight Attendants, I made sure Congress didn't pass a blank check to the airlines, but instead protected the wages of airline workers. I'd like to see what that deal is for the airlines. Telling Trump to act now. I led the charge in calling for Trump to act immediately and use the Defense Production Act to ramp up production of personal protective equipment like fucking face masks. The final agreement has over $1 billion for Trump to direct to manufacture critical equipment, including masks, gowns, gloves, and ventilators. For weeks, we have been fighting against the original Republican proposal that put corporations before people. How were you fighting?
Bernie Sanders is a fucking joke. I'm just glad everyone can see it now.
Why weren't you putting a hold on this bill on last Thursday? Not yesterday, last Thursday. And then trying to get someone else to put a hold on it with you to back you up so you could split these bills up into two funding things. Again, it's already over, and this is just me whining, but this isn't true. Like, this is disingenuous. And this, again, is why you can go on Twitter and find people saying exactly what he's saying. We had to pass it. No, you didn't. People aren't going to get their fucking checks until mid-April anyway. The first of the month is going to have passed. And they're going to need more checks. You think this fucking one-time payment is going to fucking do it. Okay. Support for workers at small businesses. When we fail small businesses, we fail the country. We must support small businesses, not just giant corporations, to protect their workers. Now the bill will forgive billions in small business loans if they don't lay off workers. Guess what? Corporations don't have that same restriction. What's going to happen because of this bill is the opposite of what's going to happen is huge corporations are going to now buy small businesses. Why? Because they have all the cash, huge corporations, and they can buy these because they just got $4.2 trillion from this bill, and they're going to buy these fucking small businesses because they can't stay open. And yes,
just trying to stop the bleeding.
If you're a small business
Economy's
and you somehow
crashing,
manage
Jimmy.
to get money from the Small Business Administration, which website is always crashing. They're the worst to distribute this money. Guess the big corporations don't have to go through the Small Business Administration to get their money. The big corporations get their money directly from the fucking Treasury.
I swear to God. Billionaire, owner of a huge corporation, you still can go under in 2 seconds. And people don't fucking understand that shit, I swear. It's going to be a
fucked up system to give money to small businesses. And why just that? Why? Anyway. So what I'm trying to say is now the unfortunate
it's worse when
thing
you do
of
go
Bernie
under, too.
Giving that speech that he didn't have to give because the bill would have passed with that unemployment insurance in it anyway is now people think we got something. And people think that they're fighting for us. And they're not. It's voted 96 to nothing to fucking give the country to the richest 1,000 people in it. And what did we get? A couple of months of unemployment insurance? That was the trade-off? Go back and watch the Dylan Ratigan interview and you'll see how grave of a situation this is. Please go watch that. And so, who knows? Who knows? But people are, there are no heroes in this situation. I saw someone this morning
damn straight, Jimmy. Vote for Trump.
A YouTube show saying that there are about 5 or 6 heroes in this situation. There are no heroes.
LOL, heroes.
There are no heroes. All these wins that they got in this bill is the equivalent of the oligarchs built a prison they're all going to put us in, and then they fought to get us a water fountain inside that prison. That's the equivalent of what they fought for. And so it's funny how people are angry at me for telling them this truth. They go, "Oh, Jimmy sold out." Do you know what selling out implies? That you get something for it. It's like someone gave me money or access or a bigger platform or something. I don't get anything for this telling you the truth. You know what I get? I get a bunch of assholes who are slow to catch on to what's really happening, attack me. That's what's going to happen. It's what happened when I told them the truth the first time, that you shouldn't back fucking Hillary Clinton. That was the same thing. They all turned on me. When I said Russiagate's bullshit. When I said the Syria war is bullshit. When I said Venezuela was bullshit. Same thing. I'm used to this. This bill is bullshit. And anybody who tries to tell you anything in it is good is fucking not telling you the truth. This is a disaster. Of unprecedented disaster, this bill. And you could have did everything you could possibly do to stop this, make people aware of what's going on, and now people think they actually got something from it. And now Bernie sends out an email telling you all the shit you got in this bill. When this bill is really an unmitigated disaster. Unmitigated disaster. And I didn't want to drop that video with Matt Stoller.
Ha.
I felt that possibly Matt was a little incendiary.
Ha. I thought it was a great video.
But
Matt Stoller should become a Republican.
Was the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus of California. The vice chair of the Progressive Caucus of California saw that interview and called me.
Jimmy Dore should be a Republican.
To say, people need to see this interview. And I said, really? And he said, yes. People have to hear this. And I said, you know what? People aren't going to hear it, though. You know they're going to call me names. And he goes, so what? Are you ever going to apologize for telling the truth? This is what people need to hear, and that's what your show is here for. That's the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus of California, the former vice chair. It's going to have to grab it. And how do you grab it? You threaten people. You make people afraid that if